なんとかなったみてえだな。畳みかける。これがスーパーサイヤ人3だ。
Alright, what's going on, you fam? Raiyuden here. Suppose you got lucky on the new Ultra banners. Maybe you got the Goku, you got the Frieza, you got the Krillin. Maybe you got all three of them. You're probably wondering, what sort of equip should I throw on this guy? Maybe you're even wondering about teams. We can talk about that in a different video if people want to hear it. But when it comes to equipment, there are a lot of variables you have to factor in on how you want to build these characters. How many stars you have them on, what sort of allies are going to be alongside them. So let's just quickly jump through some of the equipment I would recommend and what decisions I make when it comes to throwing on gear for my equips. We'll start with the Ultra Goku, strike-oriented powerhouse. This guy, if you have one copy of him, I think you should emphasize on buffing up his base stats. A lot of people ask, what is the difference between buffing a base stat and a pure stat? It's all on when they start applying the buff multiplier. For example, let's give max stats to this Goku. 268,000 strike attack. When you get a piece of equipment that says, oh, it's 10% a base strike attack for this equipment, this is the number it's going to be looking at for applying the 10% buff. So in this case, you are going to be getting, say, 26,000 additional strike attack coming out of that base equipment. The pure equips factor in everything else that buff the base strike attack. So let's say you're at 100,000 base strike attack. You have a piece of equipment that gives you 10% base strike attack. You're now sitting at 110,000 base strike attack before the math for the pure equip is factored in. So if you have 10% pure strike attack, then it's going to be looking at the 110,000 versus the 100,000 the base equip was looking at. So you get a little bit more. However, it is a bit of a balancing act between how many base equips, the dupes on your character, to figure out whether or not a pure equip is appropriate. In my showcase for this Goku, we only had him at 5 stars, so we didn't have the craziest amount of base stats to support multiple pure equips. So for the Goku, the equipment I like to opt for is one of them being this unique equip for Yellow Sun family characters. 35% base strike attack is a very nice number. A little bit of blast attack, never hurt at all. You never have just strikes and just strikes in your hand anyways. 10% ultimate damage, that's quite appealing. A little bit more to the blue card damage inflicted as well as the health restoration, because Goku has various ways to heal, whether it be his main ability, the unique gauge. You potentially have allies that when they go to standby, they're able to provide healing for the team. All these things matter. It's really the decorated aspect of this equipment that makes it valuable, because it's more than just providing a little bit of offensive stats. It's also providing buffs towards heavy hitting moves and his sustainability. Next, I also gave Goku this awakened Frieza Saga equip for Saiyans, because similar to the unique equip with the Yellow Sun family characters, we got 20% base strike down here, 15% base strike here, giving us 35% total, 10% base blast attack, because why not? Why not get a little bit more offensive stats? But we also have base strike defense here, base strike defense here, and a little bit of special move damage inflicted. At only 5 stars, my primary focus is try to buff up my base stats as much as possible. Being able to buff up both offensive stats with a little bit more on special move and getting strike defense is important. In my opinion, there are far more competent strike-oriented teams right now versus blast-based. It is far more dangerous to run into a transforming MUI Goku, a Kaioken Goku, this new Ultra Goku than it is to run into, say, an Evo Vegeta, a green Saiyan Saga Vegeta. You'll probably run into more strike-oriented teams, so having a better emphasis on strike defense is important. And then the other equip that I gave him was the Legends ranking Jiren equip, because in total, this gives you 45% strike attack with 30% to strike defense. This is one of the highest base strike attack boosting pieces of equipment available. It's very helpful A part of it is also because Goku doesn't have the craziest equips available to him for these base equips, but of the ones that we have available, just looking at Goku alone, not having to rely on any allies, those are the ones that I went with and the ones that I felt the most comfortable with. At only 5 stars, he didn't have the base stats to really want to push for pure equips, so I opt to keep boosting his base attack to get the most damage possible. Now, if you have more copies of this Goku, or you're giving him Zenkai buffers, because don't forget, Zenkai buffers are providing up to 40% to their base stats, say strike attack, then looking at pure equips is an option. And some of the valuable ones that have dropped with him would be something like this, where if you're going to be running this guy on a Frieza Saga team, which is actually quite competent now, the trio with the Ultra Full Power Frieza and Krillin works pretty good. You can start considering things like this, running those 3 together, giving you double defense, and then 15% to pure strike attack. Notice the prefix to the strike attack is own strike attack. There's no base strike attack. So like I said earlier, it's going to be factoring in, this is going to be calculated after all the base strike attack buffing, Z abilities, and equips, meaning you will get far more out of the 15% here versus just some base strike attack, assuming you have things properly set. Next, this equip here. I think this is almost a must run for the Goku should you have the stats to help him out, because I put a lot of value on equipment that provide a max HP alongside an offensive stat. Typically those do quite well. In this case, it's clear they intended you to run this Goku with the full power Frieza and the Krillin for this equip, because it also wants you to have the Lineage of Evil battle member, but it's not 100% needed, because remember, we're thinking about the Goku. We'll be able to get our hands on the 15% own strike attack, the base blast defense, the base strike defense, and the max HP. So I think for Goku, these are very, very nice. People are going to be running him with Zenkai buffers. Odds are they're going to be running him on a Sun Family team, because I personally believe the best team for this Goku will probably be one that is pure Sun Family. You may see him alongside, so a trio of him paired alongside our friend Kaioken Goku. And then dependent on who you want to go with next, you could either go with the support Goku, you could go with just any other Sun Family character, making you have a full Sun Family lineup, which allows you to throw on this pure equip for Sun Family characters, which offers one of the base defenses, another set of base defenses, and then pure strike when you have 3 Sun Family allies, as well as pure blast when you have 3 Sun Family allies. So that's what I like for the Goku. I think those are pretty valuable for him. And then for the Frieza, I think Frieza has access to much better equips. But with the same thing that we talked about earlier, we still got to factor in how many dupes you have for the character, how well you could support pure equips. But for Frieza, his teams are going to be pretty specific, but his equipment options are far better. In his showcase video, I used this equip, and there is one more piece of equipment that I threw on. Was it potentially this one? So this one here is amazing. If you have this Frieza alongside any other Frieza Force ally, typically you'll see him alongside the Green Sand Saga Vegeta, or you may see him alongside the Revival Frieza. Then this is beautiful. Base Blast in the first slot, Base Blast in the second slot, 36% total there, 10% Pure Blast when he's fighting with another Frieza Force ally, max HP, and special move damage. That is an all-around fantastic piece of equipment. I'm sure a lot of the OG players see this and they're thinking, oh man, reminds me of the days where Frieza Force or Lineage of Evil was in their prime and they were just chucking blues non-stop. Their blue cards would kill Dragon Balls, AoE damage, they hurt like hell. Seeing all of their equipment provide special move damage is definitely painful. I like to give him this as well, because similar to the other equip, a ton of base blast attack, 25% in the first slot, 10% in the final slot. Double defenses is always welcome as well, just for overall sustainability, and a little bit of blue card damage inflicted. 2 pieces of equipment giving us 30% is nice. And then there's also this over here. Double defenses again, 30% base blast attack, and then some max HP for overall sustainability. Pretty damn good. Now, this Frieza does have Zenkai buffers. Granted, they are a bit weird. There is the green golden Frieza, the green cooler movie cooler, that the one that I keep saying has horrendous art, and then now this old green Frieza Saga Goku. His Zenkai ability finally has value. They Zenkai'd this guy a long time ago, and I was very upset that they opt for green Frieza Saga for it. A lot of people said it's about time we got better Zenkai buffers for Green Saiyans or Green Sun family, because the only two available are the Revival Gohan, who is a blast-based Z ability, and the Green Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the OGLF, who's double defense. This guy would have fit the bill perfectly, but they did him dirty, and it's now green Frieza Saga. But hey, now that Frieza's here, this guy has some value. So for the Frieza, if you're going to be Zenkai buffing him and you want to start considering pure equips, then of course we got to look at the two that we just talked about earlier. This over here, plenty of defenses, plenty of pure offenses, really good if you plan on running him with the Krillin and the Goku or any other Frieza Saga allies. If you're going to build Lineage of Evil, then for the most part, it's going to fall under this bill, all because I think the current mainstay ranged LOE lineup is the Ultra Full Power Frieza, the Yellow Full Power Frieza that got a new unique equip with this data download, and the 1% Revival Frieza. So you're going to be running those three together. You'll be able to leverage this piece of equipment. This, of course, but, you know, versus the Goku, we'll now be focusing on the Pure Blast we get in the final slot with the max HP. Really, really good. LOE has fantastic bench characters, most notably being Chilled, because not only does Chilled provide a ton of max HP, he also buffs health restoration. Very, very nice for the Frieza. So those two are quite nice for him. And then the final character is the Krillin. Krillin is a support type character. Now, for me personally, when I build support type characters, I don't go for offense. I usually go for making them sustain pretty well, because the support type characters, their primary role is not only to amplify their two remaining allies, but also make it easier for you to disrupt the opponent and get back into the other ones. A really good example of this is Shin. Shin has disrupt by reducing ki, killing cards. He has sealing, and then he also has sub-count manipulation. The perfect trio for you to use Shin to disrupt your opponent and slow him down, and then quickly get back to your other allies when it's time to go on the offense. Krillin, to me, is no exception to that, but he has a few more quirks too. Not only is he providing damage guard for the team, but he's also providing additional health restoration, so you really want to focus on keeping Krillin alive. The sub-count manipulation is a cherry on top, but he's also providing healing, which is great, and his green card is very disrespectful because it is a huge debuffer. Take away 40 ki, lower their card draw speed, the entire enemy team will take 20% more damage, and their sub-count goes up +3. So for Krillin, I like to build him defense-wise. I did the same thing for Shin. Now his equipment options are rather limited. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So for his equipment options, I went with something like that. I believe I also gave him this, but if I were to do it differently, farming up different equips, I'll go with some other options. So we'll quickly look at this. This thing dropped with the data download, and this thing is great for support characters. You got base strike defense, max HP, base blast defense, and then double pure defense if you're a Frieza Saga ally. Krillin, in my opinion, is not going to be the guy to destroy your opponent's team. Maybe if he has type advantage, he can do some decent damage with a heavy hitting move, but when it comes down to it, Krillin is there to amplify the Goku, the Frieza, or any other Frieza Saga allies that you have in your box. So for him, I would much rather he survive by being the guy to tank hits and allow my other team members get stronger than to focus on him doing damage. Not to mention support characters, their offensive stats are typically pulled back, but their defensive stats are not. Shin has comparable defensive stats to all the LFs that came out around him, and Krillin is no exception. If we max him out, his defenses sitting at 163 over here, 171 here is not too bad, not too bad whatsoever. So I like to throw this on him just for sustainability. I gave him this, but this is mainly because Krillin has limited equipment options. I may as well buff up his primary attack stat, which is Strike. Get a little bit of special move damage inflicted because his special move is actually quite nice. And then the key recovery is kind of whatever. This is more of like, I need to find anything for Krillin, less so what may be best for him. This equipment will probably come into question just because Krillin is designed to be ran with the 2 ultras. So max HP is great. Double defense for sustainability is fine. And then although it is what we just said, we're not really focusing on doing as much damage as possible, it never hurt to get double pure for offensive capabilities. This is an option too, but it is buffing up blast attack. This is now going to boil down to what your Z abilities look like. Are you going to put Goku in the leader slot and build a more blast centric team just to ensure that Frieza is more dominant? Then you'll see more blast Z abilities, and therefore this wouldn't be too bad. It does have max HP and double defense. If you're going to be focusing up on Goku, having a more of a strike bench and Frieza in the leader slot, then of course this is probably just whatever. But again, this would also be another great option because 3 Frieza Saga allies, double ultras with the Krillin, 2 defenses, 2 pure offenses. I think that works out pretty good. So you guys let me know in the comment section below other different sets of equipment that you like to use for your characters. Let me know. This is what my thought process is and how I like to set up my teams. I think Goku may see an Awakened equip maybe soon, just because I think his equipment options are a little bit limited versus what Frieza has. I could see them giving something equivalent for him. Well, you guys let me know in the comment section below what you're thinking. But until next time, peace. Oh, let me know if I should continue these, if these are helpful. I think providing feedback on which character you should summon for based off of specific teams and character boxes before a banner goes live is also valuable. But I think maybe I'll throw this in the mix just because it can help people quickly if they get the character, stitch together a team, stitch together the equipment that they want, and then go try them out. You let me know. But until next time, guys, peace.